We are hearing Bhaktyaloka. Now we are hearing about Prajalpa, unnecessary talk, which is obstacle to devotion. Yes. Materialistic talk. Yes, the path shown by Vyasa, Shukadev, Prahlad Mahaprabhu and his associates is the path of the great devotees. We should not abandon that correct path to hear the teachings of the new extreme bhaktas, ati bhaktas. They are outwardly showing the excessive devotion. All the Mahajanas gave respect to the talks which produce bhakti. I will discuss this in a special place. Materialistic talk is an obstacle to bhakti. This prajalpa is of many types. Useless talk, arguing, gossiping about others, debating, fault-finding, lying, criticizing devotees, mundane talk, etc. Useless talk is no use, but still talking, but no benefit of that. That is useless talk. Useless talk is most unbeneficial. The sadhakas, not destroying extra time, will always discuss topics of the Lord with the devotees and remember the Lord's name in a solitary place. Bhagavad Gita says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo matah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the source of everything. Owing to me, everything operates. Convinced by this knowledge, the intelligent persons endowed with love worship me. Mat chitta mat gata prana bodhayantah parasparam katayantas chamam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. With minds greedy for me, being completely dependent on me, mutually hearing about me and singing about me, they continuously experience satisfaction and enjoyment. Satatam kirtayantumam yatantas chadridavrata namasyantas chamam bhaktya nitya jukta upasate. They always worship me with devotion in the form of singing about me, practicing strict vows, desiring to be my associates, wandering about to gain association, and offering unto me respects as well as other devotional acts. These were all from Gita verses. In this way, the sadhakas cultivate pure bhakti. If they, day and night, talk uselessly with materialistic people, they cannot uphold the instruction to always chant the name. You are speaking other things, that means Srila Bhaktivinoda Puri Goswami Maharaj told this. That I don't remember the detail now, but he said that we should always chant. Then there will be no time for this other talk. There is much useless talk in newspapers. Reading newspapers produces great unsteadiness in sadhakas. But if the newspapers have description about pure devotees, then they can be read. or what is practical for your devotional service, that you can know. Like one time one devotee said, I'm not reading any newspapers. Then Guru said, why? He said, because useless. Then Guru said, no, if there is a news that on that train station there is work going on and trains are not going, so if you will go there, you will uselessly go there. So what is practical, you can accept. And another thing is, like, you will not get on that train. Or if you read newspaper to see that everything what is written in Shastra about this world is actually correct. You can see only violence, killing, temporary everything. You can see the picture of this world confirmed. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Puri Goswami Maharaj, he played this pastime of reading newspaper during his Guru Puja, not paying attention to they are doing Guru Puja. Then someone asked Srila Narayan Maharaj how this is, why he's doing this. Then Srila Narayan Goswami Maharaj said, because at that time he gets some time. Otherwise he's always engaged in the service of Krishna. But that time they are worshipping him, so he has to accept, but that time he has time to read newspaper, otherwise no time. Always engaged in the service of Krishna. Eating with materialists and smoking with them leads to useless talk. It is very difficult for them to become followers of Rupa Goswami. Reading novels is similar. But if one obtains stories like that of Puranjana from the Bhagavatam and reads it, it does not obstruct bhakti. Rather, there is value in it. Or Jaiva Dharma, Prem Pradip, they're also like novels, but spiritual teaching is there. Ramayana, Mahabharata, all this. Arguing. So this was useless talk. Then arguing, vitarka, is prajalpa which obstructs bhakti. The argumentation of persons following nyaya, that is logic, and vaisheshika philosophies is all materialistic argumentation. It has no result except to produce weakness of heart and fickle intelligence. Because both Nyaya and Vaisheshika philosophies both are limited. They are not fully following Shastra. So argue for one side, only wasting time. No good result will come from that. The Vedas say, Naisha tarkena matir apaneya. That knowledge which you have attained is not attained by logical argument. Katha Upanishad. This was spoken to Nachiketa when his guru told him that divine knowledge, Brahma Gyan, is beyond logic and argument. It is revealed knowledge. That is why our Gurudev said, philosophia. He was studying philosophy in university, Eastern and Western, and he explained to us philosophia. Philo means love, Sophia means knowledge, love of knowledge, to ascertain the truth. But what kind of knowledge? It is empiric knowledge, because it is in definition with the use of reasoning and argument to arrive at the truth. Guru said it can never happen. Because reasoning and argument, they are dependent on these non-eternal material senses to get their knowledge. They are non-eternal. So intelligence and this ego, they're also non-eternal. But absolute truth is eternal. So you cannot, with non-eternal senses and with limited logic and intelligence, arrive at the truth. Whatever you will determine by your finite mind, intelligence, logic, this, it will be finite and temporary thing. It will be produced in your mental factory or intellectual factory, concocted. But the ultimate truth is already existing. You need not to produce it. It's already existing. You have to find a way how to realize or see that eternal truth. That is possible only through surrender, because that truth is self-effulgent, self-revealing. So only one philosopher, Berkeley, first Kant said that people cannot know the thing as it is, only as it appears. Then Hegel said, no, you can know by reasoning. Then Berkeley said, no, there will always be barrier between one who argues and the object, so you cannot in this way. But when that thing, when there is immediate presentation, that object will reveal himself, immediate presentation and feeling. That thing has to reveal as it is, and you can only know it through feeling, means realization, if you accept it as it is. So this is in accordance with Vedic, that sun is self-effulgent and you have to just accept it, feel it, realize it. So for realizing eternal truth, you have to adopt this process of surrendering, realizing, accepting it as it is, as it reveals himself. So if they are arguing based on this non-eternal knowledge, limited knowledge, then what is the use? Who is right, who is wrong, arguing? Both are wrong. It's a waste of time. The Vedas say, Naisha Tarkena Matirapanaya. This Brahma Gyan, transcendental knowledge, which you got, Nachiketa, cannot be attained by logic and argument. By ascending method, or inductive method, only through revelation, deductive method, it is possible. The Jiva's wisdom is eternal in his natural intelligence. That wisdom naturally moves to the lotus feet of the Lord, like iron to magnet. But accepting illusions of place, time, and error, arguing incessantly, the heart becomes hard. Then that natural, pure knowledge no longer remains. But if one accepts the Dashamula thought in the Vedas, that is 10 principles, Mahaprabhu showed what are the 10 topics which Vedas reveal. Hari, first that there is Brahman. Evidence is the Vedas. That is revealed knowledge. Then what do the Vedas teach? 9 things. That Hari is ultimate reality. He's omnipotent, all powers. Then his ocean of rasa. Then jivas are coming from him, and they are in 2 states, bondage and liberation. Then how jivas can be liberated. Yes, this is bond and liberated. Then achintya beda beda. Then what is the process and what is the ultimate goal. These 10 points are in Vedas. So if one accepts the Dashamula taught in the Vedas and argues following that, that knowledge does not become contaminated. If one conjectures what is good or bad following the Vedas, it is not prajalpa. Thus Mahaprabhu taught, Otoeb Bhagavat koroho vichar. Therefore deliberate on the Bhagavatam. Deeply you think what Bhagavatam is saying. You have to know the Siddhanta. You should not be lazy about knowing Siddhanta, and you should also speak Siddhanta to others, or you have to argue to establish the Siddhanta given by Veda. All that talk is useful, and all acharyas, they did this. That was not waste of time, but for the sake of jivas, they have to preach and establish proper Siddhanta based on Veda. So to help jivas correct their activities. If they understand proper Siddhanta, then they will understand why they are suffering and how they can come out and how they can attain their happiness in the service of Krishna only. So that is Siddhanta. Deliberation for determining Sambandha Gyan is not prajalpa. Persons who win in a gathering by useless arguments do not obtain any conclusion for themselves, because that was anyhow useless argument. Today he will win, tomorrow he will be defeated by another, but no conclusion is there. So it's limited knowledge. Thus, one must give up associating with such logicians. Vasudev Sarvam, that is Sarvam Bhattacharya, accepted this idea. Tarkik Shrigal Songe Bheu Bheu Kori, Sei Mukhe Ebe Sada Kohi Krishna Kori. In the association of the jackals known as logicians, I simply continued to bark a resounding bheu bheu. Jackals, they give this sound. Now, from the same mouth, I am chanting the holy names Krishna and Hari. So this is useful. Arguing based on logic is only waste of time. Only like some animals and sound producing. No use. But with that same mouth now, because by your grace, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to him the proper Siddhanta of Vedanta Sutra, and he also gave him darshan, that he is Supreme Lord. So devotion was awakened in Sarvam Bhattacharya, and that is why now with this same mouth he is singing the glories of Krishna, chanting his name for his satisfaction. So we should not stop talking. These mouths are given to us, but not for useless talk. They are given for speaking Harikatha, to sing the glories of Krishna and his devotees, and to chant his name, and to help or persuade other jivas to accept the service of Krishna, preaching. Those engaged in the deliberating on the spiritual goal should remember the story of the sannyasis at Varanasi. Paramartha vichar gelo, kori matra bat. Kahan mukti pabo kaha Krishner prasad. The atheists, headed by the Mayavadi philosophers, did not speak about the spiritual goal, but only engaged in argumentation. Where is liberation or Krishna's mercy? From Chaitanya Charitamrita. Useless because that is only wrong argumentation. And one cannot get liberation or Krishna's mercy. Actually, bhakti and liberation are the same thing. If you properly understand the meaning of liberation. Because without Krishna bhakti, no jiva can be actually fully and permanently liberated. So full liberation, total liberation means bhakti. And that cannot be attained by argumentation. Only by accepting the revealed truth of the Vedas about Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, and then with Abhideya, proper activity in relation to Supreme Lord, you can attain ultimate goal of life, is mukti or prema. In this case, they mean the same thing. Because in Bhagavatam, mukti is defined as becoming reinstated in your swarup, beyond these gross and subtle bodies. But when you are situated in your swarup, and your swarup is eternal servant of Krishna, when you do service of Krishna, then you are actually permanently liberated, otherwise not. Useless arguing arises from envy or pride, from hatred or attachment to matter, from foolishness or desire for fame. That is useless arguing. And also it will destroy your health. Persons fond of arguing become intoxicated with useless arguing. They need it all the time. They are addicted for getting attention, for getting name and fame, or just because they have hatred or something. So anyhow, they find some means to argue. Whether it is useful or not, it doesn't matter. But immediately arguing. The sadhaka devotees, when they discuss the tattva of the Lord or the activities of the Lord, should not fall into useless arguments. One should always be careful of this. Talking about others without good reason is contrary to bhakti. Many people talk about others in order to establish their own position, own pride. They will belittle others or speak their faults like this, but with this target, to make themselves feel greater or to get respect from others. They will speak. Some people, by their nature, discuss others' activities with hatred for them. Those who are busy in such actions cannot become fixed at Krishna's lotus feet. It is necessary for the devotee to give up talking about others completely. The devotees have many favorable discussion topics concerning sadhana. Should speak about sadhana and sadhya, the practice and the goal, Krishna Lila, Krishna Tattva, Siddhanta, so many things to talk. Why to talk about others? Wasting time. if there in another article about Vaishnava Ninda, Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained about possible faults in Vaishnavas. But if someone speaks about those faults with wrong motive, that is out of envy or hatred or for self-aggrandizement, then that will be considered as sadhu ninda, criticizing devotees, and that will be aparat and it will take you down. But if pure devotee guru with proper noble motive for the good of that person, for the good of the world, or for the good of himself, speaks about those things, then that is not considered as criticism, because proper motive is behind, and because he has love for all jivas, he can do that, not those with anarthas. They will use for some other purpose, like Guru will tell to his disciple, don't follow that type of practices like they are doing. They are apasampradaya. Those are anti-devotional actions. So he has to say, or in order to some disciple, he will say, in order to correct him, this what you are doing, this is not good. You should correct this. Or sometimes they have to speak. Examples like of Jagai Madai or Shukadev Goswami spoke about different personalities and their faults, so that the world can be benefited to see what is good and what is bad, what is to be followed, what is to be given up, but they are all doing without personal selfish motive. It is all for the good, and that is for those who are qualified for this. So devotees have many favorable discussion topics concerning sadhana. Such discussion with others is not a fault. To give up discussing about others completely, one must go to the forest. Those who are not in preaching seva, they can go to dham, in secluded place, and they will do bhajan, bhajananandis. They will not speak about others. But those who are engaged in preaching, ordered by Supreme Lord, they will have to speak about others, but they will do it in a proper way, for the benefit of the whole world. There are two types of sadhaka, like Sai Maharaj said. He is a rascal, because one man, he is very famous, he went to say to everyone, there is no need of guru. Everything you have already in your heart. There is no need of religious leaders, gurus, institutions, churches, nothing, everything useless. Everything you have in your heart. So you give up. Then one reporter came and asked Sai Maharaj, what do you think about this person's philosophy? Then he said, she said, he's telling there is no need of any guru. Then Sai Maharaj said, then why he's coming to teach this to others? There is no need of any guru. Taking the position of guru or teacher, he's teaching them that there is no need of guru. Why? If there is no need of guru, why he's going to teach them? Then she understood. Then he said, so he's a rascal. This is what I think about him. He's a rascal. And at the At the beginning she could not repeat. Then again he said, so you have to admit that he's contradicting himself by his action. What he's speaking, he's not following. So he's a rascal, isn't it? Then finally she could agree. So that was for her benefit, in order to not follow that improper siddhanta. And here Sai Maharaj was not speaking out of any ego, but in order to help her, in order to help the world, and to satisfy Krishna. Speaking about others, but with proper motive, with proper target. But if someone is not ordered for preaching, then he can do bhajan in forest, and he will not speak about anyone. Like Banshidas Babaji Maharaj. He was not speaking with anyone. Only with his deities he was speaking. If sometimes someone asked, then he would answer, or sometimes not also. Unconcerned with this. Only concerned with his seva to Krishna. Chanting, remembering, puja, everything. Only if sometimes some sincere questions came for bhajan, then he would reply. Sometimes speaking to deities, not directly to them, but to deities, then they will understand. There are two types of sadhakas in devotion. In the householder and the renunciate. The renunciate, not involving in any material matter, can give up completely talking about others. But the householder cannot give up completely talking about others related to earning, collecting, protecting, and supporting his family. When you're doing job, you have to speak with others and about others also. So it is relating everything in family life to Krishna is the only pure method for him. He is doing job for Krishna. By the mercy of Krishna, as we understood, Krishna is giving the strength, so we should be aware of this fact, should not be falsely proud. I can do anything. I am maintaining. Unless Krishna gives you that power to work, you cannot work. And unless Krishna gives you that job, you cannot work. And unless Krishna gives you results, you cannot have them. So devotee, with this awareness, with this consciousness, he's giving effort to maintain himself and family and service of Vaishnavas, deity. So this is relating everything in family life to Krishna is the only pure method for him. If all material actions are related to Krishna, there is no sin in discussing about others when unavoidable. Rather, it produces bhakti in being related to Krishna. He will not talk about others if it harms others. He will speak about others as much as is necessary in family life related to Krishna. Without reason, he does not speak about others. When the Guru gives instruction to the disciple for being aware of a matter, if he does not sometimes speak about others a little, the instruction will not be clear. Shukadeva Goswami spoke about others. Vrindavan Das Thakur. So it is clear, but with the right motive. Yeah, here. When the previous Mahajanas spoke of others, it was a good quality, not a fault. Thus, Shukadev Goswami speaks, Nidraya hriyate naktam vyavayena chava vaya diva charte haya rajan kutumba bharanenava. O king, life is, that is Parikshit, O king Parikshit, life is wasted at night in sleeping or in sex enjoyment. Life is wasted during the day by desiring material objects or supporting family members, if unrelated to Krishna. Dehapatya kalatradishu atma sanyeshwasatswapi tesham pramato nidhanam pashyan api na pashyati. Deeply attached to his body, children and wife, who are like an army giving protection, though they are false, he sees their distraction but does not see that they are temporary. Though they are false means these relations are false. My wife, my husband, these are all false because all temporary. Actually, he is Jivatma and you are Jivatma. So this external vision is all false and temporary. So Shukadev, though he spoke of the materialists in this manner in order to teach his student, was not speaking Prajalpa. Thus, one must accept this statement as beneficial. Again, Mahaprabhu spoke in the following manner to his students about false renunciates. Prabhu kohe vairagi kore prakriti sambhashan. Dekhite na paron ami tahar badan. Kudra jeep sop markata vairagya korya. Indriya charaya bule prakriti sambhashya. Prabhu kohe mor bosha nohe mor mon. Prakriti sambhashi vairagi na kore darshan. The Lord replied, I cannot tolerate seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but who still talks intimately with a woman. There are many persons with little in their possession who accept the renounced order of life like monkeys. They go here and there, engaging in sense gratification and speaking intimately with women. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, my mind is not under my control. It does not like to see anyone in the renounced order who talks intimately with women. So again, Mahaprabhu spoke about others, but this was beneficial for himself, for the whole world, and for those students. If one does not speak such statements for teaching in order to draw out the conclusion concerning material life, there can be no auspiciousness for oneself or for the world. Thus, when superior devotees acting in this way give instructions to the world, how can we attain auspiciousness if we act in the opposite way? One cannot call discussion of the improper acts performed by some group or by ordinary people prajalpa. That is not prajalpa. Like these are the apasampradaya, aul baul karta bhaja. You are speaking about others. And if it is with proper motive, then that is not prajalpa. But if you speak with hatred, grudge, or for your name and fame, then that will be prajalpa and that will ruin your devotion. And those faults which they have, they will enter into you and you will fall down. That is why here, when superior devotees, those who have attained that amanina manadena stage, they can do this. So this is not prajalpa, which is contrary to bhakti. Sometimes speaking about a person is not a fault. Thus, so here it was about action, now directly about person. Like Swami Maharaj, he spoke about many persons directly that they are rascals. Thus, Maitreya, a great devotee, spoke about King Vena in this way. Itam vipareya matih papiyan utpatam gatah anunya manastat yachnam nachakre brashta mangala. Thus, the sinful king, that is King Vena, straying from the path, intelligence lost, bereft of good fortune, though pacified by the sages, did not accept their request. It's from Bhagavatam. Maitreya's discussion of him was necessary. Thus he spoke to the listeners with words of instruction. This is not prajalpa. But only those who are real preachers, those who are at least madhyamadikari platform, Trinadapi Swanichana Tarorapi Sahisna Amanina Manana Kirtane Sadakuri. Their duty is to preach. They can speak. But if someone with full of anartha speaks about others' faults with hatred, grudge for his own name and fame, then that will be opposite result. As we saw also in history, some aggressive like type of preaching and criticizing everyone and with that mood, then ultimately they lost everything. That was not proper preaching. The ancient histories are naturally analyzed by the sadhakas in the assembly of devotees. In these histories, sometimes one sees descriptions of materialistic people. This is always favorable for bhakti and gives auspiciousness. Those who speak of others with envy, hatred, pride, with desire for fame, with tendencies that obstruct bhakti, are offenders to Bhakti Devi. Like history of Ratnakara. He was very sinful, killing, robbing, everything. So we are speaking about him, but he was transformed by the grace of Narad Goswami. He told him to chant Ram, but he could not. Then he said, Mara, 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 you chant. Then he was chanting and he became Valmiki. But we have to say what he was before. And also that hunter, he was so cruel that he was half killing animals. And Narad Goswami asked him, why you are not fully killing them? You are a hunter, that is your business, so some less sin is there. But why you are not fully killing? Why you are giving them pain in this way, half killing? Then that Mrigari hunter said, because when I hear and see their pain, then I get so much happiness. I become very happy. That is why. So cruel. But he was also transformed by Narad Goswami. He was regretting. And then later on he could not even step on an ant. So much he was transformed. So we have to speak about those histories, or Jagai Madai, And that robber who wanted to rob Nityananda Prabhu, he also got changed. And so many examples. Devananda Pandit, he was changed. Then other offenders also. Debating arises from the desire to win. This is extremely abominable. Looking for others' faults takes place because of cultivating a wicked tendency. It must be completely given up. Lying is another form of useless talk. Materialistic talk should be avoided completely by the renounced devotee. The household should accept this talk to a small degree, making it favorable to bhakti. When history, zoology, astronomy, geography, etc. are averse to bhakti, they should be given up. Only this verse I will read. Shukadeva says, Mrisha giras tahya satir asat katha nakatyate yat bhagavan adokshaja tat eva satyam tatu heva mangalam tat eva punyam bhagavat guno doyam. Tat eva ramyam ruchiram navam tat eva shashvan manaso mahotsavam tat eva shokarnava shoshanam nrinam yat uttama shloka yasho nugiyate. Words that do not describe the transcendental Lord, but instead deal with temporary matters, are simply false, harsh, and useless. Only those words that manifest the qualities of the Supreme Lord are actually truthful, auspicious, and pure. Those words describing the glories of the all-famous Lord are pleasing, relishable, and ever fresh. They bring intense joy to the mind and then dry up the ocean of misery. You see, there is an ocean of misery, unlimited misery, and perpetual all the time for conditioned souls. But even this unlimited ocean of misery can be dried up by Harikatha. So tomorrow we will hear about 3 Vaishnavas, 2 disappearance and 1 appearance. By the grace of Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan, if you can do this, then we, at least for that period of time, we will be rescued from useless talk.